Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Mission Springs Water District Directors Study Session for Thursday, February 12th. Could I get a roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Here.
Vice President Griffith,
Present.
and President Duff.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
And with no board members attending remotely, and we'll skip the Pledge of Allegiance until Monday, I'd like to move to rules of procedure. Counselor?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure adopted by the Board of Directors, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as the presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting.
Thank you, Counselor. At this time, I'd like to move to the public input of our meeting. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Are there any members of the public online who would like to make a comment?
President Duff, there is not.
Okay, I believe I do see one member of the public in person. Would you like to step to the podium, sir?
Yes. Thank you guys for your time. So I just want to come and kind of introduce myself and explain a little bit as to what I'm doing out there and how I believe it aligns with your guys' how you guys take care of our water system, distribute, and take care of your infrastructure and all that. But my name is Andres Marquez. I'm a founder of New Earth Creators, a local 501c3 nonprofit. And what it started out with just taking out trash and what just became visual when I started noticing and trying to understand why the dumping was happening. I started looking at the terrain, different areas. And when I find out that a lot of this lays in recharge zones or alluvial fans, and it all relates to basically it can be deposited into the aquifer. So now we're just kind of redefining our purpose into it's no longer just about, even though pollution starts at the surface to the aquifer and it can reach down. And I don't need to explain the specifics to you guys. I'm sure you guys already know all that stuff. But so in doing that, it starts at the surface, but now our primary focus is now it's our goals are reoriented towards protecting the aquifer basically, and the water supply, because that sustains the entire life system in the Coachella Valley. And DHS too, it's like that's the main point. Cabby Yerxa had to find water out here and he found it. And it's just very important. And so now circling back and then taking in what's important and trying to refocus back on that because we believe a lot of people just take it for granted, and that's why the trash and all that stuff. But once there's more understanding and education and people understand that little actions can make a big difference, I think maybe we can start putting more preventative measures rather than in infrastructure needs as far as when you guys have to treat the water, if there is contaminants or anything like that. If we can start doing preventative measures, we can have less impact on trying to correct it after. And then that equates to what more rates for the ratepayers. And so if we could just prevent all that, and I believe we have some alignment, you know what I mean? And I'm going to read from this. And I would respectfully welcome a future conversation about how our field efforts could align with the district's groundwater protection goals, whether through coordination, data sharing, or potential support mechanism. Because recently I've had all the data that I've been doing and also in the Coachella Valley, but metrics and KPI and all that stuff and just putting it all together. And now I'm starting to see, okay, how this can progress forward, why it's so important. You never know how much you're actually taking out and what materials are actually have an impact until you start putting it into a data format. And you're like, wow, you take a look at it and you can see how that can potentially lead up. And then plus, when you clear a site, as opposed to how long does it take for reintegration of pollutants, then you can start building some real data. So that's what we're focusing on right now. And if we could support you guys with that data, give it over and have you guys look at it or share information, or even in susceptible zones, if you guys don't have the resources or what, I'm not gonna say that, I know you guys do, but like we're happy to help out, basically. Go in there, because we just cleared near the water towers quite a bit, and it was just something I didn't like to see, and it was kind of in a overflow thing, and I just didn't like the medications and the different drugs and a lot of hygiene items. And I just seen that as a sync point. That's what got me thinking. And that's how I found out more and more, okay, this is a recharge zone. So that's what got me moving that direction. Like we don't want that in our water, you know? So we cleaned that area up as best we can. There's some sifting that needs to be done, but those areas were heavily contaminated, you know?
Yeah.
So we went, took care of that, and we just want to keep doing more of that, you know, because it made me feel good, honestly. It gives me direction. So that's what I wanted to kind of focus on. But this is the introduction, and um, thank you guys for your guys' time. That's it.
Thank you for coming today. Thank you for introducing yourselves to us and for your comments and for your work that you've been doing in our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, who is it? I apologize. I just want to find. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
No, please go talk to our staff. Thank you. All right. With that, we will move on to presentation number 7, seeing no other public comments. Number 7, Desert Hot Springs High School Real Academy Internship Program. Are we going to be discussing that on
Tuesday?
Tuesday? Okay, thank you. And Human Resources Report as well?
Yes,
Okay.
also on Tuesday.
All right, so that'll bring us to action items, and I'm going to talk slowly here so staff can finish. All right, number 9, approve contract change order number 1 with LO Lynch Quality Wells and Pumps, Inc. for the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contract. General Manager?
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. This item is somewhat comprehensive in that we do have on-call services for well maintenance. We originally had 3, now we have 2. And per our procurement policy, when we look at our on-calls, we can then reach out to them and get quotes on anything and pick the best price or best time. Sometimes if it's an emergency, we look at time more than we do cost. But for the most part, we always focus on cost. And I can safely say that the items that you have in front of you today, not only this item, but also this item and anything to do with the well maintenance as we've moved forward has always been the cost. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Danny Friend, our Director of Operations, to go through the parts of this amendment, why they're necessary, and each task order as we've been by the board to present them. And with that, Danny.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff, members of the board. I was going to go through the task orders, the 5 task orders that make up the change order for the contractor. And I appreciate that intro. What I wanted to do is talk about how we issue work towards these projects. These types of contracts are done through task orders. And so one of the things I want to point out on the screen is you see Amendment 1. And as long as we're within the contract amount, we typically go out and get multiple prices from our on-call contractors. We generally have 3 of those. Currently, we have 2. There's been a change in some status with one of our subcontractor or one of our contractors that we have not renewed the contract today. So with that, so we reached out and we requested proposals for well 27. Well 27 had a mechanical failure, which was thought to be just the motor, but we wanted to pull the equipment to determine what caused the failure. And so we awarded this to LO Lynch, and that work was to pull the equipment, evaluate the equipment, do a downhole video, and also do I refer to as EMDS. It's a simply said, it's a survey that measures the integrity of the metal of the casing. You've heard me talk about that on past projects, but what we want to do is we want to look at that and see what intensity of a rehabilitation it can withstand, how much chemical rehabilitation it can withstand. So simply said, on this particular item, thank you, no problem. And I just want to make sure this is working for me. It is. Thank you. So What's on the screen are the proposals. I know they're detailed, and I'm not going to go through them. But what I wanted to do as far as is that is let you know that we did do the work. We pulled the equipment. We evaluated the equipment. They gave us a report. They told us what needed to be replaced. The pump is actually needs to be replaced. There are pieces of the column pipe, which are the pieces that hang and support that pump, and as well as a light brush and bail is being recommended, and a like, light chemical rehab, as well as a new motor. So this was bid out and requested as a rebuild motor or a new motor. And with this contractor, the difference is about $2,800. So that's why we went with a new motor route. The amendment was, it was originally just to pull the equipment, evaluate it. Once they determine what was broken, we're asking to go ahead and amend the task order so that we can continue to do the downhole work. And so I'm gonna go through the actual. I know you have this in your packet, but for the sake of the board meeting, I didn't know if you wanted me to talk through each one of these. I was going to go to each of the amendment cover sheets, or I'm sorry, excuse me, the task order cover sheets. Is that acceptable? Perfect. So task order 2 is similar, it's the same as well. We have a well 26A. It's out in our IDE area, and it is one of 2 wells that feed the system. You've heard me talk about during budget review for mid-year, and you heard me talk about new media for the ion exchange. And that was one of the items that the board approved in January mid-year. And so one of the things that we have is we have some concerns with sanding. We're not quite sure if it's a concern or what happened, but the pre-filter bags collect it. And so before we go and change the media, we wanted to do a downhole video and the same thing. So what we've got is the original one was to pull the equipment, evaluate it, also do the same surveys and video. And it determined that we actually lost a bearing, even though we actually we recognized that we had a reduction in gallons per minute capacity, but it wasn't enough to be concerned about. But once they discovered there was a bearing issue, the cost of the revision is taking that to, I can't even see because my eyes are so terrible. Can I see it up there? No, I can see it here, I think. I should have brought my glasses. In this particular case, we are asking for amendment number 2 to be, I'm sorry, task order to be amended so that we can add another $51,000 of contingency. And that is to replace downhole equipment, some column pipe, as well as bring it back into service. We'll talk more about that in another discussion. So we're going to take ourselves to task order number 3. It is being amended. There's really no change in costs because the contingency can actually cover the cost. But we issued task order 3 to LO Lynch for just over $50,000. Well 22 is a project that's currently doing a rehab off of Pearson Boulevard, and one of the items in the scope was to have the downhole equipment pulled, this is being done through our on-call contract. And so one of the other things is once they pulled some equipment, they knew that there was a missing item, and this contract is being amended to provide that sole plate. And those are the costs of, when we get to task order 4, that's probably the bigger item of what we're going to talk about today. And this is the big item that is bringing a lot of cost to this contract. So it is well 30. Well 30 was taken offline years back for mechanical failure. And due to our what's our strategy to bring other water sources on for a compliance plan for Chrome 6, we are going to be bringing well 30 back on. We brought a contract to you in October, I'm sorry, actually September, for Russ Kyle groundwater. And Russ Kyle, he prepared the work plans for both 28 and 30. So in December, we brought to you a contract for well 28 to do the rehab. That work plan was done by Russ Kyle. The same with this well. We bid that out, and we are looking at the lowest cost, which is LO Lynch. And that is for a complete downhole rehab, to also put new equipment in a whole new pump, to rebuild that motor, and to also do a maintenance, a complete comprehensive maintenance of the motor control center. Just clean it, make sure all the lugs are torqued correctly, and then bring that well back up. And that's something that staff will be working with the state to reactivate that permit. And so that'll be a critical piece of infrastructure for our 1530 pressure zone. So more along the higher part of our district above like Mission Lakes in that area. And those are the proposal sheets. And the last task order that creates the the total cost for change order number 1 for LO Lynch is task order 5. It is not an amended task order. It's new out of the gate. And so with all the other items, we were over the contract amount, and this is why we're doing the change order. But task order 5 is for well 26. So the 2 wells that are in our, what we refer to as our West Palm Springs Village system, has 26 and 26A. Earlier, I spoke to task order 2, and that is what I don't want to call it a backup well, but it's a well that has uranium treatment. We're pulling it. We're going to make those repairs. But one of the things that we have to do with 26 is we're currently working under a conditional use agreement with the Division of Drinking Water because our source water had failed bacteriological samples. But what they allow us to do is what they call 4-log virus removal. We just increase the chlorine. So we're operating that way. One of the things that we need to do is actually pull the well, evaluate it, and determine what the source of the intermittent. So we'll get, it's an intermittent failure. So what we need to do for time is get well 26A completed, get it under operation, make sure we're confident that there's no other issues, and then we can take 26 down. And so LO Lynch is actually going to be mobilizing 3 crews if this all works out. So we're looking at well 30, well 27, well 26A, and then moving over to well 26. So these 5 task orders, or the work that again makes up change order number 1, we're trying to get this work completed before the hot weather, higher demand comes, so that we're in position to deal with the increased water demand. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the public?
Don't know if your mic is on, or you may not have been hit.
Are there any questions from the public at this juncture?
President Duff, not online.
Great. Director Meyerhoffen?
No, just thank you for all your work, Danny. It seems like an awful lot of money, but this isn't the Old West where they just drill a hole and bring water up. So it's very important that we make sure we have the clean water for our customers, and thank you for all your effort.
Thank you.
Director Martin?
Nothing.
Director Sewell?
Just a couple. Thank you for all the information. The one where you said there's missing a sole plate, I don't know what that is, but is that just something that was not installed correctly originally, or is that something that deteriorates and falls off, or how does that?
So simply said, our motor that most of us see when they drive by a well site, you see a motor sticking, our vertical turbine motor for that pump. It sits on top of a discharge head, and that bolts typically to what they call a sole plate. And in this case, the contract called to reuse the sole plate. And to our surprise, there wasn't a sole plate. So it's our preference to have one. So we're furnishing the sole plate. And so one of the things I should have actually mentioned about this, I'm glad you brought this back. When we did a below ground rehab for well 22, LO Lynch was the contractor. And so I did not speak to that. We went out to bid with our two contractors on this one because LO Lynch performed the downhole, and all the equipment currently is under warranty. And one of the things the district didn't want to do is have the contractor that's doing the above ground seek their own contractor. And if we had an issue afterwards, our recourse is to probably go back to LO Lynch, and they would come back and say something like, well, who put this in back? So that's why we wanted to stay with LO Lynch. But the sole plate wasn't there. It didn't erode. It just didn't have one. So the well is, it's got me beat by probably 20 years. But it's been, no, actually, it's probably got me beat by about 5 years. So it's been around for a while. It just didn't have one when it got put in. So our standard today is to have one. And so we're going to furnish it so the contractor that has been awarded the rehab above ground can actually install it. And then it'll go back to our normal standard.
Okay, but it's been so long that it's not like some company that installed it incorrectly. We could go
No.
back.
Without getting into a bunch of technical
Yeah.
detail, you can have them like a floating or fixed, or and in some cases you don't have to have them at all. We prefer to have them. So it was an assumption that it was there. And once we discovered it wasn't to be there to be reused, we're furnishing it for the contractor. So since L.O. Lynch was the one that pulled it originally, we had or installed it, we had them pull it, store it at our yard. And then this task order will allow them to come back and reinstall it, disinfect it, commission it, and then we'll tie it all back into the entire Well 22 project with the other contractor. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that we're doing on this project, and I know that's not this item for, but we're bringing that entire site up to our standard.
Awesome. And then one just other quick one was, I forget which well it was, one of the first ones that you showed the task order. You said the difference was only like $2,800 versus a new motor and rebuilding. But then well 30 we're rebuilding. Is it just a higher difference in just getting a new motor?
So I actually misspoke. No, I did not. So well 30, we requested proposals to do everything and offer it with a new motor and a rebuild motor. It's not always the case. I don't know why different contractors have different agreements with vendors and can get different price breaks. So in one proposal, the cost difference was over $17,000. So it didn't make sense to do that. In this particular case, with this vendor and their material vendors, it was less than 3,000. So it just made sense to go ahead and put a new modern motor with more modern efficiency.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President?
Thank you for breaking this down, because when you first look at it, it's quite a bit of money.
It is.
To go to. And so breaking it down this way, you can kind of see exactly what all is entailed. So thank you.
I also am very appreciative for the breakdown. It helps to clarify what's being changed from what, et cetera. So thank you for this hard work. And thank you for your hard work in keeping our water quality the way that we are expecting you to and doing the best job that you can. We appreciate it. And I know our customers do as well.
We have a great team. Thank you.
Anything else from the staff or general manager?
No.
All right. Moving on to number 10, approve contract amendment number 2 for Kyle Groundwater Inc. General manager?
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. This item is sort of similar in that this is for part of Well 30 rehabilitation. I'll let Danny Friend, our Director of Operations, address this item. Danny?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. I apologize. I just had a thought. I didn't cover the other item entirely. We had a budget augmentation, sir.
No. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
May I go back to the previous
We will
item?
go back to number 9 for just a moment, correct? Is that
Yes.
what you're needing to do? Okay, go
Yes, Madam
ahead.
President. I apologize. I was focused on the task orders, but this request, staff recommendation is asking also to augment the budget and to this item with all the different task orders includes multiple cost centers. And the only cost center that was deficient in being able to handle that was the Well 27 cost center. So once they came back with the report and they said that you needed the various equipment to be replaced and repaired, that's where we're also asking the board to give consideration for augmentation to the capital budget, specifically for job number 11899, which belongs to Well 27 repairs. My apologies for missing that.
Thank you for that clarification. Any questions regarding the budget part of number 9 from the board? Director Marhoffman? Director Sewell? Director Martin?
No.
Vice President? No. All right. So we'll go back to number 10 then. And I believe that was approved contract amendment number 2 for Kyle Groundwater Inc. Seed.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, as General Manager Macy mentioned, this is tied to one of the items, task order 4 in the previous item, which is Well 30. As I mentioned in the previous presentation, we hired Kyle Groundwater to prepare the work plans for Well 28 and 30. So that was brought to the board in September. They prepared the September, I think it was September. They prepared the task order, or they prepared the work plans for both 28 and 30. Once we awarded contract to Southwest Pump in December for Well 28, we also amended Kyle's contract, Kyle Groundwater, with amendment number 1. So that brought the original, and it's in your packet as attached Exhibit A, that brought the original agreement from $21,000 to 93,000 when we did that in December. One of the things I'll remind you that we talked about in December was while that amount falls within the general manager's authorization, we have other contracts with Kyle Groundwater, which we want to be transparent and bring that to the board. This amendment is similar to the last amendment where we're also going to be, we were requesting consideration for amending Kyle Groundwater's contract with amendment number 2 so that they can do the oversight work for and construction management for well 30. And so this will bring the contract from its current state from amendment 1 at $93,187.30 to a new amount of $172,049.60. And that completes my presentation.
Are you sure?
I am sure this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding number 10 from the public online?
President Duff, not online.
Thank you. Director Marhoffen? Vice President?
No.
Director Martin? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 11, contract amendment with Intelisys Communication Services for information technology professional services. General Manager?
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I will ask our IT manager, Kirk Hellenecker, to talk about this item. Kirk?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff, Vice President Griffith, and members of the board. We are bringing this to you today because we have a lot of IT projects coming up in this next year, a lot of security projects, and potentially switching to a new phone system. So Intelisys, our IT company, they are here every week doing help desk, on-site help desk for us. They monitor our servers, our computers, everything. The amount that we had budgeted for them did not include the possibility they could actually act as a reseller for some of the equipment that we're going to need, some of the services that we're going to need. So as part of the procurement policy, some of these things are going to require 3 bids. Being that they're IT company, there's also some benefit of having them potentially be able to support the equipment that they could procure for us. But we're going to follow policy and also ensure that we're getting the best price for what we're purchasing. The only problem with that is that that would exceed our not to exceed limit on the Intelisys contract. So if that were the case, if they were the lowest bidder, choosing them would then potentially delay the projects as we bring it back to the board to increase the contract amount. So we're proactively doing that right now, estimating the costs of these projects and asking to increase their contract now. But it's important to note that this does not actually obligate us to choose them for anything. This isn't going to change the amount that we're paying them for anything unless they actually are the lowest bidder on the projects that they bid on.
Okay. Any questions from the public regarding number 11 online?
President Duff, not online.
All right. Director Martin?
Nothing. No,
Director Marhoffen?
Nothing.
Director Sewell?
no, thank you.
Vice President?
You said something and it hit me. And I don't even know what it is now. So I'm gonna have to ponder it and I may get back to you on Monday. Tuesday.
They'll hit you a little harder next time.
That's right.
Maybe.
So I have a couple, if I could. You said many projects, which is a little vague for me. Could you give me an idea of how many projects are coming down the line for the next year that you've used to estimate this amount?
Well, to estimate this amount, just these 3 projects that you see right here. So there's a potential switch to a new phone system, upgrading our network infrastructure, and then upgrading our servers. And as part of that, there's a bunch of minor, I guess, sub projects, because that involves a lot of configuration, a lot of setting up some new security systems in the background. But for what Intelisys would potentially be doing for these, that's what you see right here. And General Manager's reminded me an important thing I should mention is that specifically the server and network infrastructure upgrades, those are going to be covered by the grant, the cybersecurity grant that we've received.
Okay, great. The second question/concern, or potentially just me needing to be educated, is with them being on site and working with all of our systems. How involved are they in determining what we need next and what goes out for RFP? I guess I'm a little confused as to how they would be a blind bidder being involved the way they are with the company. How do we ensure that the RFP is handled in a way that doesn't give them the upper hand? If that makes sense. I don't know if I worded those concerns correctly.
Well, in this case, with these projects, I'm the one who's dictating what we need. So the recommendations aren't coming from them, they're coming from me.
Okay.
And so I'm actually working with some of the vendors that, you know, sell these products and manufacture them. So I'm actually working outside of Intelisys to create the specs of what we're going to need. And then Intelisys is simply just going to get the same bid package, I guess, of what I would give anybody else. And then they were going to know exactly what model numbers, what equipment, and then they can quote on that.
Okay, I think I just, with our goal of always being really transparent, I just want to make sure that the other bidders will know that they have a fair bid opportunity.
Yeah,
It
and
sounds like you've ensured that by you being in control of those topics, so.
Absolutely. And as you see, items 2 and 3 on here, this is for just hardware. There's really no benefit that one bidder could have over another other than they can provide us better pricing.
Okay, thank you for that education. I just needed a little clarification on how that was going to work.
I believe in the packet, it does show the network infrastructure, and the two pieces or two components, as well as Intelisys, what they estimate the effort's going to take to actually install the equipment. And again, it's going to be covered by a grant. But yes, Kurt will make sure that we follow our procurement policy to get the racks and all the other things, and then
Beautiful.
everything else will go through Intelisys as a service.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for those clarifications. Like I told you, I think I just needed to be educated on that internal process a little better. So
We too.
I felt better, right? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any other questions from the board before I move on? Okay, so that'll bring us to discussion items. And we have number 12, award of contract for Little Morongo and 19th Avenue Res BCT solar site repairs.
Thank you, President Duff. This project is currently out for bid. It was to close yesterday afternoon, but we extended the bid 72 hours and will be opening on Monday. Therefore, there's no discussion today, but we will bring it to you on Tuesday. We're going to leave this as a discussion item in case there's anything that we would like to bring to the board's attention, but you will see this in March as a construction contract.
Thank you very much. And moving on to number 13, administration building update, General Manager Macy.
That will also be on Tuesday. We will have Alvin Flores with New Clark to talk about the bidding process and where the plans are right now and how we're going to add the pond relocations and that entire effort with the bidding package and the bid dates and things of that nature. It'll be
Okay.
on Tuesday.
And will that be the same with number 14, groundwater protection?
You see the trend? Yes, absolutely. It will also be on Tuesday.
Those will be on Tuesday. Fantastic. That'll bring us to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull any items from the consent agenda? Approval of minutes, register of demands?
Just so everyone's aware, one thing that may jump out at you, and I just want to mention it for the record, the demands is $17 million. If you look at that just by its own, you're like $17 million. Our operating budget is about 24 million, 2 million a month. Why is it? That is the loan payment for the line of credit that we had from Wells Fargo. We have paid that off. We talked about that internally as well as to the board. We felt in our best interest as we continue to move forward from a financial perspective to pay that off. And if you have any questions, Skylar Albury is here to answer any of those questions. I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Thank you. Did any of the board members want to pull anything else from the register of demands or anything else? Director Meyerhoffen?
No.
So, Director Martin?
No.
Vice President? All right. Moving right along. Director's reports. Does anyone want to go today? Okay. Moving right along again. General Manager's report. Will we be doing that on Tuesday or did you want to tackle some of that today?
To be honest with you, I just had a conversation with our finance director that we could do everything on Tuesday, but knowing how quickly we're moving through the agenda, it may take a little bit of bite out of the agenda on Tuesday. So I know it's in the board presentation and he is ready to give that presentation. So Skylar, if you
Sorry.
indulge us, can you please give us the discussion? Plus it will dovetail well with the line of credit payment as well.
Thank
Skylar?
you.
Of course, thank you, General Manager Macy. All right, so I am here to present our financial district summary from July 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. You will see operating revenues of 16.4 million, which is well above the budget and prior year amounts. This is due to 8 million in billed pre-treatment non-compliance fees, which may be negotiated down in the future. You will see operating expenses of 11.1 million, which is 3 million below budget and pretty close to last year. And we are below budget due to lower outside services, electricity costs, material costs, and legal expenses. That brings us to operating income of 5.2 million as opposed to 70,000 in the prior year. You will see 2.3 million in non-operating revenue, which is a bit below budget due to less investment income than expected, and also a timing difference due to property taxes, which we will be receiving in future months. And you will see a non-operating expense pretty close to last year, 394K compared to 505K, leading to a total change in net position of 7.1 million as opposed to 2.5 million in the prior year. You will see our debt service ratio increase quite a bit this month to 9.29. The reason for that is the 15 million that we paid off in the Wells Fargo line of credit. And that is well above our debt covenant that we are required of ranging from 1.15 to 1.25. Our investment returns are 2.02% year to date, as opposed to 2.28% in the prior year, so down a little bit than expected. That leaves our total cash at 82.7 million as opposed to 62.9 million in the prior year. And I would like to point out that the following month in January when we report, that will be 15 million less due to the loan payoff. So, and then that is my reports. I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aubrey. Any questions from the public regarding the financial summary?
President Duff, not online.
Thank you very much. Director Marhoffen?
No.
Director Sewell?
Do we have a ballpark on those non-compliance fines of what they're up to now?
I want to say they're actually closer to 11 million today, but it was 8 million as of December 31st.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was writing notes too. Good question. Director Martin? Vice President? Thank you for keeping us current and for keeping the data coming to us in such a consolidated way. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that's going to bring us to the comment section of our meeting, and we will start with general comments from the board. Director Meyerhoffen.
Yes, this comment's directed towards the young man who came up here, and it's very important that we have individuals like him to help to protect our environment. It's also important that we stop environmental issues prior to them becoming a problem, because once an environmental issue becomes a problem, it's going to cost millions of dollars to fix. So we need more people getting involved with the environment, and especially when it comes to water. There's an enormous amount of money being spent on water quality, which is an environmental issue. I just so happened to pick this pin up out of my off the desk today, and it came from the Delta Conveyance Project. And you can roll it out like a scroll. And on there, they talk about environmental review is the first thing on there. So stay involved with your environmental issues and stop them before they happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Sewell.
Nothing.
Director Martin.
Nothing.
Vice President. And I will not have any comments today regarding that. Any requests now for future meetings or future agenda items? Anyone? Okay. So at this point of our meeting, I think we're going to proceed to closed session unless there's
Yes,
anything else
closed
you
session.
have. Okay. Counselor, would you like to?
Yes, the items the board will meet on in closed session include item 20, which is conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation that involves 2 potential cases. And item 21, public employee performance review, and that's the annual general manager eval.
Fantastic. And then we'll come back out and end the meeting at that point. Okay. And do we stay here or are we going to leave the room?
We're going to stay here.
Okay. All right. Are we back?
We are.
All right. Counselor, could you read us out of closed session?
Yes,
Report us.
the board met in closed session on item 20, conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation, 2 potential cases. There was no reportable action taken. And then public employee performance review, item 21, which is the annual evaluation of the general manager. There was no reportable action taken.
All right. Any other comments or questions from the board? All right. With that, we will adjourn today's meeting. See you all on Tuesday.